just off of last week's performance, we gave 3 offensive MVPs. Gave it to Zeitler, Oglesby, and I gave him a hard time, our third offensive lineman, Jake Byrne, but he's a tight end doing a heck of a job. Probably played his best game here as a Badger. Really fun to watch that. Defensively, gave it to Shelton Johnson, who played an outstanding game. 2 scouts, offensive scout Brock DeSico has continued to be very impressive during practice, to transfer in from Pittsburgh. He's really doing a nice job. And then the defensive scout MVP escapes me right now. I can't remember who it was, but it's an Emmanuel. And then a special teams MVP, Derek Landish, who is outstanding in all 4 phases. Just continues to be very impressive how much football knowledge he has, and the ability that he shows is really pretty special as a true freshman. So it's been a kind of a whirlwind since Saturday. You know, this is the first time this game's obviously been played, so there's a lot of things to work through with the Big Ten Conference and the kind of the way they've set everything up, and for us to kind of get everything straight and to move a large group of people over there to Indianapolis. We have to be over there Friday morning for Friday afternoon for some media obligations. We'll practice actually over there in the stadium on Friday, so a little bit of a different road experience, but we're kind of treating it as a regular in-season game, road game. And our kids are very excited. I think after they won the game on Saturday, they know that they're going to play in a game and an opportunity to earn another opportunity if they're able to take care of business against Michigan State. To be in the position to hopefully go to the Rose Bowl is something that's pretty unique. It's a very exciting time. On the same account, I said it in our press conference after the game, these guys, this senior class has accomplished a lot. A very different group, and for them to be the first team to ever win the Leaders Division and go to the championship game is very special. And to win 10 games already and have an opportunity to get the 11th this weekend is going to be very, very special. So with that, open it up for questions. Injury-wise, really came out of the game pretty clean. There is a chance for Peter Collins this week. Kind of just depends on how the week goes for him. Really wasn't anybody that we lost during the course of the game that should be back with us, and a lot of the guys are healthier this week than they were a week ago. So all good things moving forward.
Questions for Brett? Tom?
Do you think people are starting to recognize Zeitler as one of the better linemen in the conference, and is his sackless streak still alive?
I don't think he's given up one this year. I think, Kevin probably really doesn't care if he gets recognition from outside people. All I know is this, we've got a lot of really good linemen play here, and over the course of my 5 years and my 6th year now, the way NFL scouts talk about players, they probably talk about Kevin on the same level, not to the same extent. I mean, guard and tackle is 2 different positions, but that they feel that Joe Thomas, the ability to come in and play right away. They really feel that Kevin, no slight against John from a year ago or Billy, they really feel that he's probably even more advanced and ready to come in and compete at the next level as good as anybody in the country.
Brett, with the traditional powers, I guess, so to speak, the Ohio States and the Michigans and Penn State and I guess even Nebraska not being in this game, you sort of feel like this is an opportunity maybe for Wisconsin to show itself as, if not the face, but one of the faces of the Big Ten on the biggest stage?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when the whole conference realignment came in, I knew they wanted to separate those 4 big boys just because of tradition and history and national championships. We haven't been able to do that here at Wisconsin yet. So I understand why they separate Ohio State, Penn State, Michigan, and Nebraska, which allowed us to kind of fall into that next tier. Really, I think we did a lot of different studies, but over the last 15 years, we've won, right there or just at as many games as anybody in the Big Ten Conference. And then you took at just recent success, I believe, over the last 3 years, maybe going into 4 years, nobody in our conference has won as many games as Wisconsin has. So to me, we're already there. The more news we can get that out there, the better. I think it's exciting that Michigan State and Wisconsin, who I feel are the 2 best teams in the Big Ten this year, get to play in a championship game. I'm glad that worked out, and hopefully it's going to be a great opportunity and a great showing. I was excited, to hear about students last night selling out 2,000 tickets in 8 minutes. That shows at least the students are excited to get over there and see what happens.
Brett, is there any special preparation that goes into preparing your team for playing a dome game in Lucas Oil? And if not, what kind of atmosphere are you expecting?
Yeah, I've never been there, so obviously the only dome experience I've had is well, actually in bowl games, played in a couple in San Antonio and stuff. But yeah, you obviously have to be prepared for crowd noise because you don't know what the split's going to be. Michigan State knew a week longer than we did that they were going to be playing in the game, so they might have a little jump on tickets. I think that people are excited about the rematch, but we'll practice crowd noise. Have placed a couple calls, and our coaches have, to some guys that play in the NFL that have had experience in the stadium, as well as our kickers, so that they may be able to take advantage of anything that we learn as well.
Brett, when you think in terms of offense, defense, being able to run, pass, stop the run, stop the pass, is Michigan State maybe the most balanced team you've played, or maybe in this conference, maybe other than yourselves?
You know, they're obviously a very good defense. The thing that stands out to me defensively is they've got a couple key guys really at each tier. You know, they got a couple defensive linemen that I think are exceptional football players, 2 linebackers that are very productive. They got a couple safeties, a corner. So there's really not a weakness in the group, and that allows them probably to play consistent. You know, the thing that we got to be able to do is take advantage of all the opportunities we get. There was times in the first game where we were very productive, moved the ball down the field, you know, efficiently. Other times we didn't have success on third down. Obviously, we had 2 turnovers in that game as well, so we got to be able to maintain possession of the football, and hopefully good things will happen.
Can you speak to your team's balance, and just in terms of almost every phase of the game and how that's helped you get to where you are?
Well, it's something we've constantly preached. I believe this will be the 3rd or 4th year in a row that we'll be a team that you know, averages over 200 yards rushing and throwing. I think the fact that we're right now, I saw a stat on the press release that right now we're the only team in the country in the top 5 in both scoring defense and scoring offense. That doesn't just happen. It's a point of emphasis. It's what we talk about every day. It's what we believe in January, February, March when we're drilling certain things. I think balance is good. It's just another indication of a team that really, I think, plays well together.
You mentioned that Michigan State and Wisconsin are the 2 top teams. Do you think this game will also pit the 2 top quarterbacks with Kirk and with Russell?
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's a lot of, I think, good quarterbacks in the league this year, but if you just look at the numbers and what they've been able to do and how they've been able to carry their team, when Cousins goes, they go. There's no doubt. And, you know, Russell's pretty much been full throttle for us the whole year, you know, and yeah, you could say that. And, you know, really 2 offenses that it just, you know, from a pure X's and O's, they do a lot of the same similar things, you know. They're I just heard Mark on his press conference on Sunday. One of the things he wanted to do when he got here was kind of be a little bit like us in the fact to run a 2-back run team and be good on defense, and you know, that's obviously what's happened.
Your guys can talk about wanting to get revenge from what happened earlier this year or from last season's regular season meeting. Michigan State can talk about wanting to get back for not being the team that went to the Rose Bowl last year. Who holds the right to the bigger chip on their shoulder card or revenge card going?
You know, I haven't really heard that out of my kids. I mean, I get it why people say it, but I don't really think that's existed. I think our kids want to play a game where they can play a 4-quarter game and hopefully have success. And I don't get into the revenge factor really at all. I understand, you know, the point. And obviously, Michigan State beat us a year ago, but I think the key factor to last year's thing was when we went to Iowa, beat Iowa at Iowa, and they had failure, we had success. And because of the timing of it during the year, that's probably what led to the end result more than anything.
You've said that Russell's play this year, you know, obviously he's going to be duly rewarded when it comes to the next level, and I'm just curious, you know, at this stage of the season, from what you've heard from scouts, I mean, do you have any idea, you know, where you think he could go as an NFL player, or, you know, what that?
Yeah, I think coming into the season, there was a lot of question marks out there, but I think part in turn because we've had so much attention here on our campus, it's brought in a lot of general managers, key decision makers in the NFL, and what they've kind of come away with is they were blown away once they were here, saw the film, watched him in person, watched his accuracy during an entire practice, and then, you know, they can't sit down and visit with him, but they realize what kind of special kid he is. You know, I'm not going to be a draft expert by any means, but I really do think he's going to go sooner than a lot of people think, especially when people get a chance to sit down and visit with him one-on-one and some of the exceptional things he does with his mentality.
Brett, there's been some talk this season who your best rival is. Do you think the Michigan State things kind of happen naturally because you guys have played important games, competitive games over the years? Are those sometimes the best rivalries that happen that way?
Yeah, I think rivalries out of respect a little bit too. I do have you know, I've known Mark a long time. I respect the way he coaches, the way they prepare, and obviously they play very, very well. I think all the games that we've played as of late, both teams have been ranked, and it's been of substance. Sometimes when you're playing teams that you know, aren't ranked, or one opponent's ranked, or it's lopsided, it doesn't get to be a great rivalry. But I know this, our kids, whether it's a rivalry or not, whether we want to say that, I don't know if we're playing for any type of trophy. Somebody ought to get on the internet and see what kind of trophy we should play for. But I think our kids really enjoy this preparation, and have an opportunity to play them twice in a year is really special.
Could you please give us your reaction to Urban Meyer being hired at Ohio State?
I didn't know he had. I didn't know he had. I know there's all those speculation. I really don't know Urban. Urban came this year. He kind of got an advanced peek into our nice little scouting routine. He called a job this year. So he was here on campus for a couple days, and I haven't really known Urban, so it's fun to get to know him. Obviously can't do anything but respect what he's been able to do in the profession, and if he does indeed come in the league, it'd be obviously a great splash for the league and a great name, and it'll bring attention to everybody in our league.
Considering what your guys have done the last 6 quarters, dating back to the second half against Illinois, do you think your team's playing its best football of the season?
They're playing well. I thought this past weekend, because I think Penn State is a good football team, might have played as a complete game as we could, in offense, defense, and on certain phases of the kicking game, but we still haven't played that complete game yet, and hopefully it's going to come this weekend. I know this, I think teams that play stronger as the year goes on have a lot of respect from me. The fact that we're whatever we are, 19-2 now, speaks volumes about what I think we try to instill here in the month of November, so hopefully better days ahead yet.
Coach, obviously last time William Golston did not play in the Michigan State game. What kind of impact do you think he'll have in this game?
He's a very good player. He's a very athletic. He's very powerful. We recruited him out of high school. He's definitely a guy that plays with an attitude, and a guy that you got to be aware of at all times.
Brent, should it come to pass that neither Monty or Russell make it to New York City later next month, what will that tell you about the Heisman?
Those are both really, really good players who have the numbers to back it up. I think in the world of college football, a lot of it is predetermined by hype. Obviously nobody knew a lot about Russell before this year on a big stage. We all knew he was a good player, and Monty kind of the same boat. He had really productive numbers last year, but John Clay got invited to the Doak Walker over him. So it is what it is. I don't think either one of them get really wrapped up in it, but it truly would be a disservice to both of them if neither one of them got invited to one of the final seats.
You mentioned on the conference call yesterday how Shelton Johnson's played well the last couple of weeks. How impressive has that been in light of, too? He was involved in that late touchdown against Ohio State and could have shattered a guy's confidence, I would think.
Yeah, I think two things. First off, it speaks volumes for the kid that Shelton didn't really get frazzled by the moment, just kind of embraced the challenge that he had in front of him, and also his coaches just to instill confidence in him and continue to teach him and move him in the right direction. He's really made some, the last 2 weeks in particular, some incredible reactions, and just ability to make the play. So the good news is, he's still an underclassman, so a lot of good football in front of him.
Brett, is Michigan State maybe playing its best football as well?
Michigan State's playing well. They obviously had the setback against Nebraska, and didn't do the things that they normally do to win that football game, and had bounced back. And we all know Northwestern's a tough place to play. To come out on Saturday with that win spoke a little bit to me about what kind of team they have, and it's going to be a very, very exciting environment.
Special teams played a huge part in the last game against Michigan State. Do you feel your unit seems like they're playing better? They've progressed since then.
Yeah, what we got to play is a 4-quarter game of special teams. Everybody talks about it offensively, defensively, but it's never really talked about in special teams. You just want to pick out the good, the bad. We need to be consistent on every snap. Whether it's punt return, kickoff coverage, kickoff return. We have to be consistent throughout the game.
What is Ethan Armstrong's status for this week after the hit he took?
Yeah, Ethan has had some hip issues really all year long. He's identified what those issues are, and he kind of aggravated him a little bit on that play there. And the good news is all the tests and all the things that we've been able to do from a medical standpoint since that time have been negative. So he's on crutches right now. We probably won't have him for the game unless something. I'm sure. I'm sorry I didn't mention that earlier. He's probably not going to be in this game, but would be involved in the bowl game.
Brett, for whatever reason, there haven't been a lot of first-team All-Big Ten linebackers around here. Do you think you got 2 this year? And Can you draw any comparison to what they give your defense to compared to what Monty and Russell combine on offense? Is there anything there?
Well, I think there is defensively, and I appreciate the acknowledgement. I'm an old linebacker coach, so I take a lot of pride in the way our guys play. Dave's done an outstanding job with them. You know, Chris Borland, has moved to a new position, and everybody had their opinions on where he should be or what he's done, and he's just continued to accelerate. Probably played his best game on Saturday because he just played within the scheme and made the calls and made the reads, made the reactions. Mike Taylor has been very impressive. Anytime I'll leave that up to you guys. You got some time, but I don't know of a time that I've ever seen the number 1 and number 2 tackler at the same position in the conference. I've never seen that before, in my knowledge. So that's a great tribute to them. But on the same account, we've channeled a lot of things to them. We play a certain way up front, and support a certain way with the secondary. That was one of the things that changed from a year ago when Chris and Charlie and then Hux and Devontae came in. They changed a lot of the fits and reads and reactions that our linebackers had to kind of funnel the ball to them, and it's paid off and been very, very well for us.
Andy?
Brett, just out of curiosity, was there red tape that had to get cleared up to allow Russo to play? And if so, what was it?
Yeah, and I can't speak to the specifics, Andy, but there was an issue there where I guess it was probably about midway through the season where they finally got the thumbs up, go ahead, that he was allowed to be able to compete. And obviously to get him in Saturday at the end of the game was a pretty special thing. I know it was really big for him, and a lot of our kids were yelling on the sidelines. He actually got in 2 series. I was hoping he was going to get a sack or something, but just a really neat special story. It was academically related, Andy, between the different institutions he'd been at.
Anything else for Brett?
In games like this that you've had with them, that have always been so close, it seems, it comes down to a play here or there. What's the mindset, or what's the key for a mindset that you need your players to have in a game like this, where it comes down to one small thing here or there?
Well, it is. It's that one play matters. You hear coaches talk about it all the time. That there's one play that turns a game, one play that turns a game, that turns a season. So every play matters. From the first kickoff or first kickoff return until that final play, as we learned in the last time we played these guys, every play matters.
Okay.
Thank you very much.